Sabaho everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you guys about the Galaxy Note 20 and the Note 20 Ultra. Last week Samsung announced a whole bunch of stuff. The Note 20, the Note 20 Ultra, the Buds Live. They even talked about the Galaxy Watch. And this one is the one we have, the Bluetooth. There's the LTE model. And of course the Galaxy Z Fold 2, which we'll get more information about that at the beginning of next month, so September 1st. But before we go too far, I had an opportunity to play around with the Note 20 Ultra since the announcement. I'm actually in the same process as you guys are, probably waiting for my pre-order to ship. So today I want to talk to you guys about my impressions of playing around with the Note 20 Ultra, but not only that, I want to also talk about the whole Note 20 Ultra comparison thing. You know, does it make sense to have a Note 20 when the Note 20 Ultra is obviously the device that everybody needs to get? Well, in today's video we're going to discuss that. This is TK, let's go ahead and dig into this topic. If you like the videos on this channel, and make sure to support us, of course, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that bell icon so that you're always notified to whenever we have new videos on the channel. So let's start talking about the Note 20 and the Note 20 Ultra. First and foremost, there's a lot of similarities between the two, but there's also big differences, namely the price, about $300 to start. So yes, the Note 20 starts at about $1,000 and the Note 20 Ultra starts at basically $1,299. That's $300 difference there. Now in the US, obviously there's going to be tax on top of that, so that means both of these devices are north of $1,000. There's no question about that part. But what you're getting here essentially is the Note experience. These are supposed to be the most expensive, the most advanced versions of Samsung devices at the end of every year. We've seen it in the past, so the Note 10, and we've seen it with other devices as well, where we've seen the Note 9, even earlier generations. The Note line always culminates whatever the S line starts at the beginning of the year. So what is the best device that we have at the beginning of the year? The S20 Ultra, namely this guy. So I've been using this guy as a daily driver ever since I ordered mine and I picked it up. So the first thing I will say this much. The Note 20 Ultra, playing with it for the last, like I said, I had an opportunity to use it. It's not like just me reading specs. I have to say that the improvements that they've done to the camera are ridiculous. The laser autofocusing system that we have there is really nice. The 108 megapixel camera that we have on the back is not exactly the same as the S20 Ultra. It's a different camera system. We don't have 100 times space zoom, what we saw at the beginning of the year, which nobody really was using. The maximum we can get here is up to 50x, but again, the laser autofocusing system is what really fixed 90% of our issues, because the 108 megapixel sensor that we have on the Note 20 or the S20 Ultra was plagued with autofocusing problems. That was fixed, and I think this is something that we need to appreciate. Samsung did definitely push forward in that technology. We obviously have a similar size display, 6.9-inch display, QHD, 120 Hz refresh rate. But the main thing that is a big difference here between the S20 and the Note 20, which again, I would have assumed an upgrade, not necessarily more of a solution to a battery concern, is that we don't have the ability of toggling QHD and 120 Hz. Even though we've wanted it on the S20 Ultra, we always had 1080p 120 Hz or QHD with 60 Hz. So those are the combinations that you had. The Note 20 comes in with a variable refresh rate, which means it's an adaptive refresh rate. Adapts from all the way from like 1 to 10 frames per second all the way to 120 frames per second. But we never really know what's the resolution that's going on the display because it's adaptive. It actually adapts itself to the usage that you're doing, right? So if you're scrolling through Instagram or Twitter or anything that requires a high refresh rate, the screen will ramp up the speed and will obviously be able to ramp up the refresh rate, and the smoothness will stay there. But if you're looking at an image, it's not needing to be at 120, it'll shrink down back to about 10 or even 1 frame, again, if it's a static image. So those are the things that we saw that was somewhat of an improvement, but I felt like a lot of us wanted it the other way. We wanted to have the opportunity to use a QHD 120 Hz. Give us the adaptive function, but I feel like that setting needs to still be there. So that's a little bit of a concern for me. Although I have to say, using it on the Note 20 Ultra, it is absolutely fantastic. It's a massive display. It's a gorgeous display. Now, speaking of that display, again, we talked about the actual resolution, the Gorilla Glass 7 that's on there on the front and back of the device. The matte finish on the back is absolutely fantastic, super fingerprint resistant or even smudge resistant. So kudos on that one. And I really hope that, since I actually pre-ordered the white one, the white on black, that the same material is used there and we're not just getting a glossy version there as opposed to the bronze one that everybody else is using right now. So that's one thing. The Note line, one thing to keep in mind, it will always have more of a sharp edge on the actual device. So the corners on the Note 20 Ultra are more sharper, even though the display is curved. Speaking of the display, The Note 20 has a flat 1080p 60 display, where the Note 20 Ultra has the curved, again, adaptive display going all the way up to 120 Hz. So there's a little bit of a difference there. So if you want a flat display, you can definitely go with the Note 20. If you want more of, obviously, something that is alongside more what you normally see with flagships from Samsung, you can definitely appreciate getting it there. So that's a bit of a difference there. 1080p 60, not 1080p 90, not 1080p 120, but 1080p 60 for a $1,000 version of their device. But overall, as far as the specifications, internal storage, and of course different specifications, different areas got different options. The one thing that I also found out that was a little bit of a different thing that obviously a lot of people have talked about is the processor in the US, or at least for regions that Samsung releases the Qualcomm chipset. And I say that because it's not just the US. They will be receiving, or we are going to be receiving, the brand new Snapdragon 865 Plus. Now, keep in mind, that's purely a slightly overclocked version of what we got with the basically the 865, and it still features the X55 modem for 5G connectivity. So it's not like, leaps and bounds, but it definitely is a slight improvement over what we had before. But in the European market or in the Middle East, you're getting the Exynos 990, the same chipset that we had in the first generation of the S20 line of devices. The same one that a lot of people have talked about, documented, recorded the videos showing the difference in performance between the 865 and the 990, and now there's an even bigger difference in performance. My hope is that the One UI 2.5 that comes with the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra compensates for some of that performance, and again, we'll have to see some more videos. But at least in my understanding is that overall now the gap is even bigger. Some people may find that as a concern, and some people maybe don't even care about it. So that's something to keep in mind. Actually, let's go ahead and stop real quick, and I'll give you guys a couple of samples from the front-facing and the back-facing camera using 4K 60 recording on the brand new Note 20 Ultra. So this is a quick sample of the front-facing camera on the brand new Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. Now, we're using the 4K 60 frames per second on the front-facing sensor as well as on the back. The beauty of it is that we can actually go all the way to 8K on the back-facing sensor, but still, 4K 60 with the brand new microphones on the Note 20 Ultra looks really good. Let's switch over to the back sensor. Now we're using the back sensor. Again, I can shoot at 8K, at obviously up to 8K here, but it's intended mostly for big scenery, things like this, and I'll definitely include a clip for you guys right there. But 4K 60 on the back sensor as well as the front-facing sensor should be really good for just taking photos, being productive, and of course enjoying the brand new sensors that we have here. I'll include also a clip of showing the focus pull that we have now, since this is something that was fixed from the S20 Ultra. Even though we have the same 108 megapixel sensor, we actually have focusing that is lightning fast on the Note 20 Ultra. Now, as you can see there, the microphones in here are obviously going to be top notch. The $1299 version of this device, the Ultra version, is definitely the one I feel like a lot of us should be gravitating towards. Specifically since we can also record 8K video, as I'm showing you guys right now. Same spot that I recorded both the A and B video that I just showed you guys, but this one is just more showing a pan shot at 8K at 24 frames per second right now. And so again, definitely appreciative of all the content that we can create using this device. So all of these things are definitely very nice. It makes me really, anticipate getting the Note 20 Ultra. But then we start talking about the difference, what is the Note 20 doing? Who is the Note 20 for? The difference also between the two devices comes down even to the S Pen functionality. Now, first and foremost, the S Pen gained a lot of new functionalities over what we had last year. We still have the air gestures, that didn't go away, but now we have more system-wide support and more support for other applications, for air gestures to just go back, launching recents. So essentially becoming even more of a Harry Potter fan on your Note 20 Ultra without any problem. The refresh rate of the display causes the performance of the S Pen to be slightly better on the Note 20 Ultra. So the responsiveness is faster since the display refreshes faster on the Note 20 Ultra, and that causes a little bit of a different experience. Is it going to be super noticeable since we're actually writing on glass on a device? I don't think so, but the overall experience is definitely going to be tested out once I have both my devices, since I pre-ordered both of them. So when it comes down to it at the end of the day, which one should you consider? The Note 20 is a great device. It offers us a lot of the same horsepower that we get with the Note 20 Ultra, with a slightly more tailored experience. Is it an upgrade from what we had last year? I think it's pretty much about the same. The Note 10 from last year still had basically a 1080p 60 frames per second display. I think the overall things that you're going to look for obviously is the One UI 2.5, the upgraded gestures within the S Pen. That's something that you cannot get as part of the software, and of course the overall upgrades what we could receive just as a generational improvement over the processor power. So those things that will probably make people that have, let's say, the Note 10 go to the Note 20. So for me, the Note 20 Ultra is where I would start. that's mainly because of the requirements that I like to have on a device. The SD card support is a big thing. The new camera improvements that we saw there, the refresh rate, the higher quality display, the bigger battery, that's something that I forgot to mention to you guys also at the beginning. The S20 or the S20 Ultra has a 5000 milliamp battery, has roughly the same size display, but it's, you know, we got 4500 with the Ultra and 4300 with the Note 20. So the difference there is not that big, but the battery is smaller, and I would have anticipated them having bigger batteries than the S line. So at the bare minimum, 5000. Even though the device, like I said, is physically actually slightly bigger than the Note 20 Ultra. So I didn't really understand why the battery had to go smaller. We'll keep that conversation for a different day. Let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think of the Note 20 and Note 20 Ultra? Are you picking it up, or do you think that these devices are not necessarily your type of device and you're more like the Galaxy S line of devices, like the 20 Ultra? Those are the things that you want to keep in mind. So thank you very much for the support. Like and subscribe as usual. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.